All right, hello and welcome. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. A pleasure to be with you here today. Bear with me just a minute as we get things started. All right, and I hope you all are doing well. Been an absolute pleasure to bring you some Total War Warhammer 3 content. A little bit of a multiplayer live stream today. I've just got a few friends hanging around for some friendly domination matches. No real structure. Not doing like a King of the Hill or anything like that. But we do have a match already getting started here very shortly. So let's get to it. Happy Puppy versus Samurai Warrior. And it's going to be Khorne versus Kislev. Apologies about the low frame rates, guys. I am still on my laptop awaiting the new graphics card from the manufacturer. Once that is in my possession, then obviously we'll be able to get my home PC rebuilt. We'll be able to get the quality back to where you guys expect it to be. Now, we are on the Death Pass map. And right out the gates, we're going to see an Exalted Bloodthirster from Samurai Warriors Khorne. Quite a strong opening here with two halberds and the double cultists also I've been seeing quite a bit of on the opening, just to get some more free bodies with that Bloodletter summon. Also got some more Warriors of Khorne with halberds, so lots of elite anti-large AP from Kislev. We would expect the same thing with Warbear Riders. Got some Winged Lancers as well. One Streltsy. Very risky here to take Cathay on foot, but she is locomoting about on her ice there. Looking absolutely great. Armored Kossars, and some more Streltsies. So enough gunfire certainly to take down the Exalted Bloodthirster here. But the question is, can Happy Puppy keep Cathay protected long enough? Let's take a look at the spell loadout here. We've got Frost Blades and Ice Sheet, so that Ice Sheet should be able to help control a little bit here, combined with the Ice Shard, in order to give that nice Frostbite and the additional speed slowing effect. That definitely will allow the Bloodthirster's movements to be controlled fairly well, but let's see. Cavalry just going to be kind of hanging around for now. Looks like Cathay unleashing a little ice explosion there on those Warriors of Khorne with halberds. Does a pretty decent amount of damage, and once again applies Frostbite. No, actually doesn't apply Frostbite, interestingly enough. Streltsy going to open up their guns on the Bloodthirster there. Let's get a nice POV from their perspective. They're going to get their gun axes ready. As the two summons are pulled up, you can see that the Armored Kossars kind of pull back at the last minute in order to not get rear charged by the summons. That's something that Happy Puppy actually did to me very brutally. But with the Warbear Riders momentarily distracted, Cathay just getting absolutely mauled by the Bloodthirster, who's going to now attempt to pull away. It looks like use a little explosion there and sort of juke the Winged Lancers, get back up in the air, trying to avoid the damage of the Streltsy. The Bloodletter is pushing through the summon, trying to get on to said Streltsy in order to not allow them to fire. Got the Winged Lancers with a little bit of Frost Blades here. They're going to pull back, hopefully try and utilize that to good effect, maybe charging out some of these Bloodletters, other units with the physical resistance. But anyway, still got 30 seconds until the points unlock. Khorne is holding home objective with a unit of halberds. We've got some Armored Kossars coming over here to take Happy Puppy's home objective, being countered by some Bloodletters. But the main engagement here in the center obviously playing out definitely in favor of Khorne, this big melee brawl. The inability of the Streltsy to kind of get set and firing so far has proven pretty decisive, but they are now going to be in a position to do so. Keep in mind, too, the Armored Kossars' pistol shots deal a pretty good amount of armor-piercing damage, certainly more than Empire pistols that we may be used to here. 7 AP per shot on these big, heavy pistols is quite substantial, so even the pistol fire here is going to be something that the Exalted Bloodthirster does not want any part of. Happy Puppy Sarina, though, poor Cathay getting very, very low here, even against just the cultists, is in pretty significant danger. Definitely needs to pull out of that engagement. Oof, going to take a big hit to the face. She does get her Unbreakable proc, but that's probably just going to lead to her, getting actually killed there, which can happen, unfortunately, with that effect. So Cathay going down is a problem, but she wasn't too expensive probably in that kit, so how much of an issue will it actually end up being? It's hard to say. Fleshhounds in here. Warbear Riders don't trade super efficiently into them. They definitely will win, no question about that. But definitely got a nice little concave of pistols and guns here. Trying to get rid of the Cultist. Cultist, relatively cheap. Well, geez, about the sound in the background, guys. Thought I had shut the dryer off before starting this up. But anyway, Kislev has managed to cap the center objective despite everything, sort of just the troops routing through it almost. But looks like Khorne was able to seize it back. Now this objective also being held by Kislev for the time being. Those armored Kossars trading fairly evenly right now into the Bloodletters. Bloodletters should be able to win that engagement over time, but let's just keep it close here on the center. Nice little hit and run from the Fleshhounds, trying to get back and get on the Streltsy. The Warbear Riders, unfortunately, their leadership is going to give out here. It's just a lot to have to deal with the big demon there, given the constraints of Domination. So let's see what else Happy Puppy can bring to the table. Looks like we've got some Ice Guard here with the glaives in order to defend themselves properly against Fleshhounds. Somebody said they wanted to see Ice Guards in combat, so here you go. Here we go. The Ice Guards, if they can get in range to start shooting the Exalted Bloodthirster, they also have really good AP values, considering 6 AP per shot, only 80 unit models is still fairly solid, kind of standard infantry skirmisher, right? Streltsy, 90 unit models, a little bit larger, obviously, but looks like they might actually be going over to start perhaps shooting those Bloodletters. Definitely be another great target for them. Light armor, physical resistance only sort of target is exactly what the Ice Guard are good at shooting. Let's see. Hey, what's up, Romulan Dog? Can you request? Do you request? There we go. Total Eclipse of the Heart. Yes. Anyway, Khorne's coming in pretty substantial force here with the Halberds just kind of holding for the time being. Can get the armored Kossars to play up into a decent engagement with the Warriors of Khorne. They'll actually trade okay into the Halberds, but right now the Streltsy definitely having a hard time getting free of those Fleshhounds. Whoops. The Ice Guards coming over here. The Bloodletters do pull back for the time being, just kind of conceding the point. The armored Kossars and the Ice Guard can get in there. They will be able to salvage that point, not allow the forces of Khorne to capture. But Happy Puppy just kind of hanging back for the time being. The Cultists are almost gone. The armored Kossars should be able to finish this one off. And this one also just kind of getting surrounded and circle beaten by the great maces of the armored Kossars. Should be just fine. For Kislev, just, it's going to take some time to clear through these guys. And really the infantry want to come forward and start working on the center pocket. Some nice fire from the Streltsy there. Going after the Warriors of Khorne. I've seen a lot of people going more Streltsy heavy in this matchup than what we had seen initially, although I do think the Dread Sleds will certainly be very useful still. Unfortunately, the Ice Guards, it looks like, get involved in combat here, which it's going to be very painful for them. Despite the glaives, you might think the anti-large AP would be good on paper against the Bloodthirster, and it is, but certainly getting rushed by all of these. Furies doesn't help. Bloodletters also, the anti-large bonus does not apply to any of those targets. Very brutal stuff from the Bloodthirster. Brutal. Good to see you guys. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, it's looking pretty rough for Kislev right now. We'll see. I mean, the game's certainly not over yet. They've been able to maintain one capture point at the very least. So if they can start to thin through these hounds, should be getting some extra supply for being a little behind. And maybe get a little presence of guns to come in here and start to destroy these halberds. But for the time being, Samurai Warrior did commit some more forces and was able to somewhat sort of win on this number 3 objective. But still some armored Kossars hanging around. Wing Lancers also briefly become unbreakable. They should be able to finish off those Furies without too much issue. But notice how Samurai Warrior's not actually capping this objective. He's just coming down and like killing the units here and going back. That's so that he doesn't start feeding Happy Puppy too many kind of salvage points, right? Comeback points, if you will, for being far behind. But honestly, he could probably seize that objective anyway. He's about 2,000 points plus ahead on army damage value, which is a pretty substantial amount. Certainly not insurmountable, but let's see if Happy Puppy's able to continue to respond here. Honestly, if Samurai Warrior is not going to attempt to cap this objective, you may as well just peel these cavalry in to try and help capture the center. But you can see here that the dogs are coming through, just trying to keep Samurai Warrior fighting, trying to keep Happy Puppy from being able to get to the objective in the first place. Very important to not allowing those infantry models to get on the point. But again, Kislev with that unbreakable passive, be able to at least get some armored Kossars. No, are they actually? No, a little bit of a mistake here from Happy Puppy. They pull up into pistol range, which puts them just outside of the capture zone, which is definitely a problem. You almost want to like force path your infantry models onto the center objective in a situation like this. But at this point, Samurai Warrior is far enough ahead. He doesn't mind coming down and just capping this point number 3 to try and finish things off here. So, very commanding position for Khorne, but nice pistol fire on the Exalted Bloodthirster here as well.
Victory point.
Exalted Bloodthirster having the ability to fly is actually quite useful, considering Kislev doesn't have any flying. At best, they can try and control your movements and shoot you out of the sky, but not having any flying tools whatsoever to even try and contest is a little bit tricky. It means that Exalted Bloodthirster, if used appropriately, is going to be quite safe in most situations against Kislev, as long as you can stay out of gunfire range. Until ogres eat everything. Yeah, man, ogres. Ogres. Anyway, can't really talk too much about ogres right now, but I am excited to show you guys ogres when I can. Yeah, the Ice Guards is an interesting choice here. I do feel that protecting them can be a little bit tricky, but perhaps they've been able to get some additional work done. But that Bloodthirster, man, just such an enormous presence. That's why, you know, taking Katarine on foot, I kind of get to a degree. She is pretty risky. It's almost, you know, almost would be worth it to, like, bring your caster, maybe even bring Katarine in reserve. Don't even bring a character. I don't know. Personally, though, I think if you have Boris, I don't know if Happy Puppy has actually unlocked Boris yet, but Boris can, especially with bear cap support, can fight a Greater Demon, Exalted Greater Demon. The Bloodthirster's tough, but even then, with, you know, again, with the right support, he can handle himself fairly well, as we have seen. So, yeah, I don't know. Again, if Happy Puppy has Boris unlocked, but I do think Boris is definitely the best pick. I would be curious, even Boris on foot has good enough stats, anti-large AP, possibly has charge defense as well. I don't know. On foot, the HP, low HP amount does concern me, but I mean, he's still technically a halberd unit. I don't know. Hard to say. But yeah, you know, to Kyle at Discord, be in Discord, just kind of, it changes the sound of my voice a little bit. But what Warhammer 1 and 2 races do I think will be best in this game mode? It's hard to say. Game music is a bit loud. Okay, good to know. Yeah, still getting things adjusted here a little bit, so I apologize about that. It would also help if I brought my mic just a little bit closer. Yeah, good stuff, though. The Exalted Bloodthirster did carry pretty heavily. This sort of opening with the 2 cultists is pretty common these days as well. Given that Kislev doesn't have great single entity kind of foot character sniping tools initially. Be interesting, maybe almost bring out like a Zargard on the opening as Kislev in order to kind of stand firm on the point. I do like the Streltsy opening. It puts range pressure if you can protect. And sort of, I guess the idea here for Happy Puppy is going cheap with Tsarina Katarine allows you to open with these cavalry. But again, I don't even know if you need to take a caster initially. I think you could maybe even go with like the Patriarch here and then take Katarine as reserve, bring her in. Once you have already built up quite a bit of Winds of Magic, so you can just drop a couple fat spells immediately. I don't know. Yeah, the Armored Kossars, they can do okay in some situations here, but I think, yeah, maybe going with the Ice Guard in the opening as well could put some really strong pressure initially on Khorne and give you that Frostbite to help control movements. If you don't have your caster out initially, interesting. Yeah, this is an interesting matchup, though. I do feel it's pretty even. Again, the Dread Sleds is something we didn't see much of here, but they are quite strong. Anyway. Yes, you can begin without your lord. It's not that necessarily that you have to take your lord in your starting army. You can take them in reserve. That is totally allowed. The Let's see here. Okay, let me just adjust this down ever so slightly there, and cool. Okay. Get the next army picks locked in. Yeah, it's for some lords and factions like Nurgle, for example, it's not wildly useful because all of your characters, I mean, unless you have like a herald on a rock fly, they're all quite slow, right? So you really need them with your army initially starting so they can move up. But more mobile factions like Kislev's an interesting case. Generally, I mean, they're legendary lords like Constantine and Boris, I think you'd want to start with, but bringing in a caster in reserve, I think is pretty strong for them, given that their casters are a little bit squishy, and I think for other factions it's probably going to be similar. Like, there's quite a bit of benefit to just keeping your caster in reserve so they don't get sniped, so that, you can bring them out later on, again, once you built up a solid amount of Winds of Magic, just depending on the faction you're playing. I haven't really, I mean, with Cathay, almost all your lords are casters, right? And certainly there's not a lot of reason to take the Magistrate in multiplayer, so it's not like you would see him much there. So it's, your lord's likely to be a caster, and again, the powerhouse, someone like a powerhouse like Miao Ying or Zhao, or, one of the greater demon lords, you want to take them most likely in your starting initial army. But especially for like cheap caster lords, or just lords that are very fast in general that can come in as reinforcements and get to where they need to be pretty quickly, I think taking them in reserve could potentially be viable. Anyway, cool. So the next matchup is going to be Cathay versus Tzeentch, and Pendulum has been banned via agreement. Yeah, currently Penumbral Pendulum is quite broken. I think there's literally like an extra digit in the damage value, so I don't know. Hopefully that gets addressed on release. There are some balance issues certainly that have started to crop up, and I haven't really commented on it too much because it's, in my opinion, people love to make proclamations about balance based on like one or two games they've watched on YouTube, when in fact, in reality, we need like hundreds of games to really figure out the balance. And already some things have become pretty apparent, like the fact that the Elemental Bear is terrible at the current cost, and the Terracotta Sentinel is arguably a little bit too strong for the cost, but at the same time, Cathay as a faction in general isn't that great in Domination. It seems like their army ability maybe could be tweaked slightly, and that would help them quite a bit. Tzeentch in general just is really strong. I mean, the barrier mechanic not having any limit, I think, probably will change at some point. I'm starting to think myself that there needs to be a barrier cap, kind of like how there's a healing cap for the same reasons that we have the healing cap. It's basically the barrier could be seen as free healing anytime your unit's not in melee, or even if they're in melee, if they're not taking hits, then they can regenerate the barrier, and it essentially gives them, again, free healing, right? So there's like some other small balance unit things here and there. Some units aren't super good, whereas others are, again, a little bit maybe too strong. The Flesh Hounds are one that are arguably a little bit too strong. Maybe should be like 750, 800 for the cost. Yeah, there's a few others, notably. I'm just thinking to myself, most stuff seems fairly well balanced, sort of according to its intended role. And certainly all of the demon factions play well into their intended playstyle, which is good. That's a great base to start from, so Anyway, Pendulum Band. How much does the Elemental Bear cost? It's 2,200, and it's like, we'll lose to the Sentinel sometimes. Like, probably, like 55-60% of the time. I actually need to test it myself and see. But yeah, the bear is trash. It's very bad, currently. Yeah, River Troll Hag as reinforcements. The other thing, too, to consider is that, like, anything with Vanguard is also going to be even that much better because you can bring it further forward. So, like, a Vanguard in stock especially. So, the Night Goblin Shaman, I mean, he's super cheap. You can bring him in, Vanguard stock, drop, like, you know, a big Vortex, whatever, Curse the Bad Moon, or just start machine gunning out, you know, Vindictive Glares. He can sneak up onto a point with some goblins and kind of ninja grab it if your opponent's not expecting, and then, you know, you have a caster there so that they can, again, drop some fat magic if they get found out. Yeah, greenskins are going to be quite strong. But basically, I could make a case for just about every Game 2 or Game 1 faction, like, being quite strong in Domination. We'll see what ends up actually happening, but what do you think about Rotfly's Death's Head's attack? I think that it would probably be fine for the Rotflies. I don't think you would want to do it for the infantry, the Exalted Plague Bears, but I don't know. Maybe if you reduce the missile damage on the Exalted Plague Bears, you could give it a damage over time effect. I do think that would help, because right now the Death's Head's Plague Drones are kind of useless. The Exalted Plague Bears are very good, purely just for the fact that they have a million HP, right? So the Elemental Bear, mainly the defense, like the melee defense is very bad, so it ends up taking hits from even low tier troops, and just ends up taking a lot of damage in general. It is unbreakable and it has a lot of HP, so that's nice, but I think the defense needs to be at least like 29, 30. I think it's like possibly in the teens right now. I don't know. You're also paying quite a bit, I think, for a breath attack that's arguably kind of useless. And yeah, it's just overcosted. That's the main thing. If it was like, you know, 1900 or so, I think it'd be fine. But at its current price, it is much too expensive. But anyway, let's start with Samurai Warrior's build here. I know that Samurai Warrior is actually quite a bit of a big fan of the Herald of Tzeentch. On the disc, he's quite cheap. He has a pretty nice shooting attack, too. Can just kind of pick away at a distance. Lore of Metal as well. Searing Doom. Final Transmutation. Does not have Greater Arcane Conduit, so you're not going to get as much spell damage as you would otherwise. But Chromatic Tome as well. It's also got some Doom Knights here. I noticed that there's a bug with the Doom Knights that they seem to be landed at the start of the battle. Or I don't know. Maybe this is actually intentional. But a couple of Doom Knights on the ground. Here, got some blue horrors and some pink horrors. So, for the other side, wow, look at this huge air force. We've got 3 Longbow Riders and the Dragon-Blooded Shugengan Lord. A couple of spears as well, peasant spears. Beastman versus Khorne, Meat Grinder versus Meat Grinder. I think it's going to be an interesting one, because Beastman, you'll have to play hit and run, I think, pretty heavily, because I don't think you're going to be able to take just a face engagement against Khorne. I don't think even Greenskins, I don't think, will want to take just a face engagement with Khorne. Like, basically no faction should be just going headfirst into Khorne. Like, there'll be maybe some specific builds, if you can kind of catch them off guard. But it's something I've been realizing more and more of lately, is like, they are the best melee faction in the game. And as a result, you know, you kind of have to play around that with other factions. So it'll be interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to playing. Khorne, I think, will be pretty good in quite a few matchups. Sort of the S-tier Warhammer 2 factions will have a tough time against Khorne, but we'll see. Nice thing about greenskins is you have a lot of mobile harass and skirmish, so you could potentially just wear them down over time. And I mean, black orcs are pretty legit. Can definitely brawl against Khorne stuff in melee. We'll see though. Again, very interested to see how those engagements play out. Why people don't bring infantry in opening as Kislev? A lot of the time it's just because, you know, you can bring your infantry in fairly cheaply for Kislev and start to reinforce. And since the capture points don't come online, like the primary role of your infantry is often to capture, but usually, I mean, people will bring skirmish infantry, certainly. It's just that the bear riders, like opening with some strong mobile units is good, because then you can kind of reinforce to wherever you need to in the battle. But here we go, we're going to get an engagement in the air. The Doom Knights arguably overextending a little bit. Notice how Happy Puppy's not over-blobbing, though, understanding that with the Final Transmutation, it will just, like, nuke this entire blob of Longmas. But that being said, just hanging the one Longma out to dry is arguably not ideal either. But here comes, oh man, big, nasty Final Transmutation. We got Screamers of Tzeentch moving in as well. This is going to be absolutely brutal. Just do a ton of damage here. Not as much as it would from a Lord of Change, but we've got a cannon out for Happy Puppy. Grand Cannon coming in. But man, that was a big, nasty engagement. Trying to contest the Tzeentch Air Force, I think, is honestly just not the greatest idea, unless you also can take, you can take Final Transmutation, of course, which, you know, Zhao Final Transmutation arguably might have been better in this build with all these Longmas to try and contest this air game. But, yeah, we just lost quite a bit of value there, unfortunately. Now we've got this kind of horror Air Force here in the center. Jade Warrior Crossbowmen. Jade Warriors also coming out here. We've got some Furies responding in order to shut them down. Once this air fight kind of finishes getting cleaned up as well, these Furies and these Doom Knights can also come over. Oh man, the cannons do manage to make contact with the Herald of Tzeentch, and if the Jade Warrior crossbows, Jade Warrior crossbows, if they can open up, you can actually stagger lock characters on discs relatively easily, so you have to be careful of that. But here come the Furies and the Doom Knights dropping in. Some nice attacks, sending those Jade Warriors tumbling and shutting down this artillery, not allowing them to fire. Let's see that the crew almost immediately routes, even with the infantry support trying to keep the Furies back. They still can't necessarily protect them, so more Jade Warriors being brought in here. Halberds would have been nice to see as well, but I understand just wanting to take lots of shields against Tzeentch, trying to protect against that shooting. But even like one Jade Lancer could potentially come over here and crump this blue horror, try and start to force Tzeentch out of this center. I definitely should have changed the map. That's on me. But Beastman versus Slaanesh is going to be a very, very micro-heavy matchup, certainly. But yeah. Yeah, it's true. There's no high-end skirmish cavalry. Not a lot of mobile missile units in general for any of the Game 3 factions. Like, Kislev is really the only one that has mobile missile units. And they have some pretty good ones. I mean, the Dread Sleds are definitely very solid. And, oh man, this big bombardment from Tzeentch just does so much damage. Lasts for a really long time, too. Just doing a huge amount of damage in that deployment zone. But anyway, yeah, we don't really have any high-tier skirmish cavalry. Like, the Throwing Axe Cav could end up being quite strong. Like, Outriders, Grenade Launchers, you know, those kind of higher DPS skirmish cavalry, I think, could end up being quite useful in this mode. In general, you know, Empire having, like, Luminarch has, you know, lots of mobile firepower, war wagons, although they're not nearly as the same chariots as the Dread Sleds. They do possess, on paper at least, better shooting, and hopefully they get fixed so that that's actually true. But yeah, some, you know, you've got the steam tank, you've got in general more mobile shooting units, and just better shooting in general. You know, you've got Huntsmen, Free Company, handgunners, more dedicated shooting units, right? So I do think Empire is in a very commanding position with a lot of those strong Vanguard, especially shooting tools. Like, I'm thinking of Free Company all the skirmish cav, huntsmen, all those guys on Vanguard, just overwhelming with firepower. It's going to be quite strong. Yeah, it's tough to say. Yeah, I mean, you kind of have the Marauder Horse Masters that are available for, you know, Warriors of Chaos and Norska, but it would be cool to see, like, maybe a bow variant if they were to do some sub-factions at some point. Hard to say. But, yeah, Happy Puppy's having a hard time here in general, just even bringing the forces to bear. Tzeentch, when they get this kind of a commanding position, I mean, again, like, 2,300 up on value damage, Happy Puppy's kind of getting the force together to try and come contest over here. Bringing in the cannon again to fire from downtown. We've got the unit of flamers heading over to the far side to try and reinforce. But just keeping Cathay bottled up in their deployment zone because they're not a very fast faction. Like, even at this point, although Happy Puppy's been able to maintain this one side objective here, kind of similarly to last game. Oh man, another final transmutation going from the Herald there. And the Herald does have quite low HP if you can actually get a hold of him. But again, on that disc, he's mobile enough that if he stays moving, keeps out of harm's way, he's very, very tough to kill. So, yeah, I think this is one matchup where Meow is definitely sort of the meta in most situations, but I do think that Zhao potentially has a spot in this matchup specifically to try and win the air fight. Or at least contest well enough that you can, you know, beat the Doom Knights, be able to secure your missile units somewhat, because the thing about Tzeentch here in this matchup is that they can shut down your shooting very effectively, so you can't shoot back. And then, I mean, if Cathay is able to sit and shoot back against Tzeentch, you know, you have shielded heavy crossbows that trade very well shooting into horrors, and you know, you've got the crane guns that can shoot from long range and also have a missile block chance, right? So quite some potent shooting tools here, but Fury is being able to come in and just shut them down. You know, Doom Knights, it's a lot of problematic situations there, but... Hey, thanks, B Army, appreciate it. Yes, I mean, I fully expect balanced patches, you know, before, during, and after Immortal Empires, definitely. Cathay seems really weak in multiplayer in general. Yeah, they're definitely tricky to play. I think they're definitely the weakest faction in Warhammer 3. I don't know. Maybe it's either Nurgle or Cathay. But Cathay in general struggles pretty mightily due to the fact that they're somewhat slow. It's like this weird harmony mechanic where it's tough for units to actually maintain harmony a lot of the time in multiplayer. Like, it really takes some practice in order to, you know, get in the habit of keeping your units together like that. Being able to protect them as well. Yeah, just desummon the cannon when the Furies are coming in, right? Like, why even try at that point? I don't know. It's a tough one for sure. Forgot to change the map. That's also on me. But this map, actually, the fact that you can get direct line of sight, potentially shoot with cannons on this map is pretty nice. Yeah. Yeah, there's no battlefield control exactly. And the other factions in this game generally, I mean... Cathay struggles against, like, Furies. They're going to struggle against Harpies probably as well. Like, if you're taking Dark Elves, for example, I think probably, like, Flying Marathi and, like, 3 Harpies, maybe 1 Manticore is going to be quite strong. Same thing, Beastmen, like 2 Manticores and 2 Harpies, probably also going to be quite strong against Cathay. Right now, at least, it's tough for them to screen. I mean, maybe Longmas can screen out against Harpies as well, but just in general, the fact that Longmas are more expensive than Furies means they can't necessarily always, you know, provide enough strength in numbers, and Furies being able to just get in and shut down your missile play is definitely a problem. You know, obviously all of the Chaos factions are good at that to varying degrees, but they definitely all are good at doing just that with said Furies, so...
I knew it. Unending glory is yours.
Yeah, rockets can be good in this matchup, definitely. Again, if you can keep them protected, almost arguably more so than the cannon. It's hard to say. The cannon does some really nice damage, especially if you're going to face, like, Knights of Tzeentch. But, yeah, I think this type of a build, and I don't know how much the Dragon-Blooded Lord costs, but I think probably you just take Zhao in this type of a situation and kind of try and counter Tzeentch's final transmutation with your own final transmutation. But, yeah, pretty brutal stuff. Tzeentch is quite good, especially somebody like Samurai Warrior who's had some experience playing with them. Can be quite brutal. Quite brutal indeed. Let's switch now to the Eye of the North map. And let's see. Bear with me 1 second, guys. Okay. Oh, it's all good, Happy Puppy. It's all good. Hang on, guys. It's a little bit hot in here. I gotta turn my heater off. I'll be right back. Okay, and I'm returned. Yes, the harmony radius is too small. I agree. That one thing they could do to help Cathay would be to make the harmony radius bigger. Especially for Domination multiplayer games, it would help quite substantially. But anyway. Yeah, for those of you guys who don't know, Happy Puppy does stream on Twitch, so let me go ahead and grab a link here. I believe I have her on Twitch already. Oh, am I even signed into Twitch though is the question. Looks like I'll need to sign in. Okay. And
find anything in the tire?
oh, no. Wow, why is there sound? Anyway. Okay. So here is the Twitch channel for a Happy Puppy. Guys, can go ahead and give her a follow. I'd greatly appreciate it. Buffing the junk would help. Yeah, you know, the flying units in general, the balloons are functionally just too slow to be super useful in a lot of matchups. Likewise, I mean, they don't do very much damage either, so there's not really a lot of benefit in taking them, in my opinion. Other than the fact that they're big HP sponges, but again, very squishy up in the sky. You can kind of use them as distraction pieces sometimes, but I mean, that's really not great for a unit that you're paying so much for. And then you look at the rest of the roster. I mean, the cavalry's pretty subpar. The infantry's okay at what it's supposed to do, but it's not going to win you a lot of fights on its own, right? And the skirmish infantry, same thing. Like, it's mostly good at what it's supposed to do, but you just have a lack of tools in general, I think. No DPS infantry. No, you know, effective cavalry force. You have some cavalry, but they're really not great, and more importantly, no mobile missile units which are able to maintain harmony on said cavalry efficiently. So, yeah, Cathay, I think, give them some DLCs, give them some TLC, and give them a little bit of a rework to their army ability, and I think they could be quite a strong faction. Like, if they were playing, pretty much all the factions play pretty well according to their intended design, in my opinion, except for Cathay. They just have a hard time actually defending properly because they're facing a pretty relentless assault, to be fair, against, like, Khorne, for example, right? Just a lot of armor piercing, a lot of very efficient melee stats. Same can't always be said of Cathay, right? They need to be able to utilize those missile units, and for mobility, anyway, we're kind of talking in circles now about it, but let's see. Looks like Happy Puppy's going Tzeentch, Samurai Warrior's going for Nurgle, so let's see how it goes. I think Cathay will have an amazing matchup versus many older Game 1, Game 2 missile-heavy factions. I think you're probably right. Dwarfs is an interesting one. I'm not sure if they can outshoot the Dwarfs, and you don't really have good armor-piercing anti-infantry at the moment, so I could see them struggling against Dwarfs in the same way the Empire struggles against Dwarfs, although maybe not. I mean, arguably the shielded crossbows give you a nice advantage there, even though they're probably just the same as dwarf shielded crossbows. But anyway, Coast, I do think Cathay matches up quite well against Coast, just sort of design-wise. Yeah, thinking through, Wood Elves will be an interesting one. It could very much turn into similar to how Wood Elves versus Dwarfs is, which is very toxic in general on both sides. Although maybe not. The little bit of mobility that you do have will definitely come in handy there. Yeah, they'll have interesting matchups against, like, High Elves, against Dark Elves, you know, some of the other quote-unquote balanced factions. Empire versus Cathay is going to be pretty interesting, too. Great Swords will be very good in that matchup, and it will be one matchup where Empire definitely wants to take the melee fight to Cathay. But then again, like, Celestial Halberds potentially seeing off Empire Cavalry, I don't know, you know, it'll be a nice back and forth. It's like Kislev versus Cathay right now relies quite a bit on the chariots, the dread sleds, right, the bariots, to get the work done, but I don't know, it's interesting. It's gonna be interesting, like, without that. Yeah, it's not really a secret what Anticity's been doing with Cathay. Meow Meow, Double Sentinel, pretty much always. Yeah, right now, I mean, rockets will be good against Skaven. If you can keep a sky junk protected, and also, you know, if they increase the damage on the sky junk, then that could potentially be pretty good against the Skaven. Yeah, Clan-Eshin infantry are going to be a nightmare for sure. Although, I mean, you have pretty good magic damage tools to a degree. AoE magic damage, that is. It's probably going to have to be your go-to. It's just chaff clearing magic with Cathay. But I mean, you think about their chaff clearing tools. They don't really have a lot, to be honest. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't know. You know, the just going mass cheap shooting. The thing about Clan Eshin is, I don't know, with its own chaff support, I just think because Cathay and chaff's that much more expensive, like you're gonna end up getting kind of bogged down. And if the Eshin units are able to rotate and move effectively, could be a huge problem. But Longmas will also probably be pretty good at that matchup too, to be honest, as long as they're not too vulnerable against Howling Warpkill. But anyway, we've got a Herald of Nurgle here and 4 Plague Toads, so a pretty potent opening with a little bit of mobility. A couple Nurglings and a couple of Forsaken, all against Tzeentch here. We've got some Furies initially with some Screamers. Good old Screamers. We've also got some Spawn of Tzeentch. Very interesting. A couple of pink horrors, a couple of blue horrors. This is a map where Tzeentch can do quite well. You just come and set up, you know, your horrors to be able to fire down into the center objective, and you can definitely rain some death. The pink Herald, yeah, the Herald is pink, indeed. And looks like more of Tzeentch this time. Just the magic missile plus the chromatic tome, so just looking to try and throw as many blue fires as possible. There's quite a bit of damage initially to the Herald, which he's going to be forced to utilize some healing there to get that HP back. Yeah, the fact that Nurgle doesn't have a ton of flying tools, and definitely Tzeentch has probably the strongest air force in the game. I mean, they definitely have the strongest air force of any game 3 faction. High Elves will probably be the only ones that can affect it. I mean, High Elves, I guess Wood Elves too now. They have also access to Lore of High Magic. With Tempest, I do think you could contest against Tzeentch Air, but without that, I think, you know, Tzeentch with Final Chance Mutation, with Screamers, with Doom Knights, with Furies, they have a lot of variety in the air. They have just good tools in general, but look at this overwhelming shooting. The spawns are going to come in here and looks like a possibly body block. Tzeentch spawn do have armor sundering as well. Not that it matters too much here, but like the 50 armor of those plague toads will go down. A nice blight boil though. Oof. Going to do not too much damage because of the barrier. The barrier does help mitigate quite a bit of that. You can see here these Nurglings just get absolutely canned by Furies. So wow, overwhelming shooting, trying to snipe out. This Herald was actually on a drone on the Rotfly here, but it looks like he is just getting blasted and hosed. Was probably landed initially at first, but the Herald also having to run away from some Poison Furies. The Barrier Furies will come in and be able to block that attack effectively. That being said, we've got some Nurglings over on the point there. We've got some Furies flying over, flapping about, trying to get into this combat here. The Toads also just sitting in the center, so Happy Puppy for the time being just content to control the home objective, not really contest too much for the center. But let's take a look here. The Poison Furies are going to go down in a big hurry, and it looks like, ooh, we've got an Exalted Flamer online. Pretty good stuff. Personally, I'm a fan of the units of Flamers more so than the Exalted Flamer, but the damage is going to be pretty legit coming in here. Roasting out some Nurglings, getting to contact on some Toads as well. Tzeentch Air Force once again prevails, and the points are online. That being said, Samurai Warriors still got more capture power with the spawns of Nurgle and with the Toads and the Forsaken and everything. He is certainly out-capturing, at least for the time being. So Happy Puppy's really got to get some units out onto this center objective here, but Nurgle playing pretty far forward at this point. Army damage-wise, I mean, to be expected, Nurgle's kind of taking it on the chin, and eventually this will start to favor Happy Puppy pretty significantly. I mean, if she manages to get far enough behind on points to where not only is she cleaning house on army damage value, but likewise also, you know, getting the extra supply from being behind to just allow huge overwhelming numbers to come in and possibly 3-cap Samurai Warrior in the late game. But let's see. Still no one has capped this number 3 objective, and Samurai Warrior is continuing to throw bodies at the problem. The one issue here with Happy Puppy coming in with all these flying units is, of course, they can't capture. They certainly can defeat those Plague Toads, no problem. But needs to send like some spawns or some Forsaken onto that center objective there. Try and get them in combat. Finally, this one does get secured for Tzeentch after having thinned out quite a bit of the spawn and infantry and so forth. So now the spawn can detach and try and move in, and the spawn again will trade very well with that armor sundering against the Forsaken here. That armor sundering also helps the non-armor piercing shooting of the blue horrors. You know, you can stack that with Warp Flame for minus 45 on contact, which is substantial. Take these Forsaken down to only 40 armor, and with their already low HP and defense, definitely get torn apart pretty quickly. But for the time being, I mean, all these units still trying to get over there. Supply situation now not quite fully within, you know, extra supply range for Happy Puppy, but Nurgle's starting to claw back a little bit on army damage value. There's last spawn down there. This Forsaken just gets absolutely collapsed. Yeah, you see down to 55 with just the standard armor sundering. The Exalted Flamer also in the neighborhood. Yeah, this is a little bit of a dangerous situation for the Herald, though. Suddenly, the Nurgle Furies are able to get in there with the Rot Flies and trade pretty effectively in the air. The Screamers anti-large should help them, you would think, trade against the Rot Flies, but it's a pretty even trade so far, back and forth. Rot Flies are a more expensive unit. You would expect them to be a little bit more elite, just based purely on the cost. But Samurai's doing a great job bottling up Happy Puppy's forces here, so that they're not able to push forward and get onto this center objective. She could come forward with these blue horrors, and probably should with the spawn, and try and flank on the objective over here, drop down and just get some infantry onto this point to try and start capturing. But Toads are being banished right now. They're unstable. Soon will be gone. More Forsaken moving through and just continuously denying, whoops, the objective there. You guys are having a nice discussion about theory crafting, like Skaven versus Skaven versus Cathay, or yeah, Bretonnia. Bretonnia is going to be interesting in general in this mode. I do worry that their lack of infantry quality will mean they can just get continuously out-captured, but I don't know, maybe the Bretonnia will get a rework and get some defensive infantry that's actually worth something. Or maybe they'll rework it so that Bretonian cavalry actually has infantry capture power. I think that'd be cool too. But for the time being, it looks like Happy Puppy finally is able to get a couple of spawn onto this objective here. Do they have enough capture weight? Sort of 2 half-health units of spawn have just slightly enough capture weight to actually out-cap those Nurglings. But no more Nurglings are on their way. Exalted Flamer also. 2 Exalted Flamers now could move up and lend their capture power also here. Again, Happy Puppy a little bit new to the mode, but this is one thing you'll learn as you get more experience in this mode. It's just, you know, being aware of the capture power situations. Right now, being able to bring up the rest of these forces, just force cap here, and even just to kind of play, you know, a Nurgle up into their deployment zone, try and bottle them up here so that these reinforcing infantry can't get down to this point, because you just got quite a few resources just kind of sitting idle right now, even though, you know, still way ahead on army damage value. And it does look like probably going to be able to get the capture here on this objective number 2. Finally, it's not too late either with an objective 2 cap. There's still enough time left to try and maintain the 2 points and actually get a victory here for Happy Puppy. Let's see, a little bit of lag starts to stabilize. Unfortunately, it looks like the Herald is going to get caught and killed. That is one benefit of the Poison Furies in particular. They can catch these, slow down these fast Tzeentch units in the air and actually catch them. But nice Blight Boil does probably some horrendous friendly fire damage, but pretty good damage also to the Tzeentch units there, but a brutal bombardment once again just shreds the entire unit of Forsaken. Flamer also comes in, going to apply some of that sweet warp flame. And let's see, is any unit here being contacted by both the spawn and the warp flame? Not that it matters too much for like Nurglings who don't have any armor anyway.
One of your units has been destroyed.
Yeah, at this point, should be pretty good. It's going to be close. Happy Puppy's definitely got to maintain both the objectives for the rest of the game, but given that she's, you know, so far ahead on army damage, and likewise also, you know, being behind, giving extra supply here, she's just going to start to amass a force that Samurai Warrior really can't contend with, and that's one issue with Nurgle, is oftentimes you're not trading cost effectively. You're just taking a lot of damage and, you know, overinflating with healing, and then if you overcap and feed your opponent too much supply, then something like this can quite easily happen. And we can see here that Samurai Warrior is supply blocked, not able to bring in any more units than what he currently has on the field, and what he has left is just about gone. Herald's been able to achieve his healing cap, but it's not long for this world as bombardment drops in. Oh, nice little Tzeentch snipe there. That actually does sunder armor and sends his leadership tumbling. He may be able to stabilize here and stop. Nope, looks like he is going to disintegrate.
The enemy has slain our lord.
Poor Herald drops. And yeah, you can see like 5,000 damage value ahead. Happy Puppy just taking a very commanding position, so that sort of amassing a force for a slow push here ends up being pretty strong. And Tzeentch just pulling so far ahead. It's interesting. I do think this is like the best faction against possibly the worst faction. I don't know. I think Cathay does have more flexibility than Nurgle, although Nurgle is just straight up healing is quite brutal to deal with. Both factions certainly have their weaknesses. Tzeentch, on the other hand, has some weaknesses. If you're not really good with your micro and decision making, you can screw up and still lose, certainly. It's not that Tzeentch is always not a win, but certainly there's no matchups right now, in my view, that Tzeentch particularly will fear. There's one that we haven't had a chance to show yet that perhaps could give them fits. I mean, this is public information, right? That Slaanesh units are very fast, so it stands to reason then, theory crafting wise, perhaps that could be a matchup. But that remains to be seen, at least for you guys. For what, another week or so before we can start showing Slaanesh content? Like 4 days, 5 days, something like that. I forget exactly when it is, but just be sure to subscribe. Keep it right here if you want to see that. Chaff is better at capping than elite infantry. This is a good point, just because you can get more numbers of infantry unit models on the point, which is why, like, I think vampire counts have the potential to be pretty strong here. Kind of like with Nurgle, but even more so. If they set up on an objective, it's going to be really hard to dislodge them. And the fact that heals are now percentage-based is actually a huge stealth buff specifically for zombies and, like, skeletons, because they have so much HP. You think about, like, the Tithe, right? They have huge base HP, which means that healing and the fact that all the vampire counts heals are also going to be converted into percentage-based. You know, that'll benefit those higher HP units substantially, zombies being one of them. You could potentially just flood the board with zombies, just flood the point with zombies, and you know, if your opponent can't clear through them fast enough, they just won't ever be able to capture the points. So, I don't know. I don't know how viable that will end up being. I mean, zombies are still pretty slow, and with AoE damage, you can clear them out. If you manage to get their leadership low enough, you can get them to disintegrate, so I don't know, but even for, like, Graveguard and stuff, too, all the vampire counts infantry will get a buff from healing being percentage-based, which would be pretty nice for them. Oh, is Turin also streaming right now? I didn't notice that. Is he doing a little, something? I don't know, multiplayer? Does the heal cap still exist? Yes, it does. If you watched in this battle, if you go back, the Herald of Nurgle was actually able to achieve his healing cap just about. And yeah, it ends up being quite close, but I think Happy Puppy's about to take the lead, like, right now. And, I mean, Samurai is not that far from getting tabled either. I mean, he's got some Nurglings here still fighting. The spawn of Nurgles still fighting. A lot of his units are popped, though. And you can actually get tabled in this game mode. But it looks like, yeah, Happy Puppy's just barely got enough time to take the lead. So, very, very close game. There it is, right there. And now Happy Puppy has got the lead secured. And pretty much that's it right there. That's a GG. So we'll get in for some cinematics. Watch the Exalted Flamer as it gets swarmed by these Furies here, the Stinky Furies, getting attacked by the Screamers. Screamers unleashing their war cry. Oof. Flames of the Exalted Flamer. Got some gross spawn here. Nurgle spawn do look pretty good, I have to say. Oh yeah, looking very, very gross. They almost have like fish hands. I never noticed that. Is that how the other spawn look? Maybe that's how the other spawn look. Anyway, GG indeed. Tzeentch coming in the late game was able to secure with just barely enough time there to take the lead in the end. And a very close defeat for Samurai Warrior. Yeah, brutal snipe. You know, I haven't seen many people be able to snipe the Herald in melee. It's almost impossible, actually, to snipe the Herald in melee. But shooting, I mean, apparently you can just beam him with Tzeentch, and that will take care of it. All of these flying tools for Tzeentch paying for themselves. The pink horrors as well, if they're able to sit and shoot, will just get absolute value city. Same with the blue horrors. So, man, that Herald, considering how cheap the Herald is, that is a pretty strong opening. I might have to steal that one, honestly. And then, yeah, we've got the spawns coming in here, contributing as well. Forsaken, pink horrors, didn't really get summoned too much. Exalted Flamer was able to keep it protected. I don't know, still I think it's more cost effective to just take units of Flamers. It can be a little bit easier to keep the single entity online because it's a smaller target and can kind of slip away from enemy units a little bit easier, but I don't know, I still think this taking units of Flamers is going to be more cost effective, but I mean, Happy Puppy did end up winning here, so hard to criticize it too much. Yeah, Plague Bears here doing quite well. Spawn of Nurgle, if you can heal them up, that can sustain for quite some time and also dish out some good damage, which is not something that a lot of Nurgle units can do. I mean, they have high weapon damage, certainly, but not high attack. Forsaken and Furies kind of both buck that trend, so they're pretty important, but here end up getting a little bit torn up by the spawns and such. And then Herald, yeah, just getting absolutely brutally sniped there, so good stuff. Let me just thank these guys for coming out. Yeah, sure. Looks like Samurai Warrior wants to do one more. Okay, looks like Samurai does want to do one more, so we'll go ahead and hold it. Then for him, turn is on AoE 4 right now. Oh, okay. Nice. That's cool. Well, I still got a little bit of time for Total War Warhammer 3, so I'm going to keep doing this as much as I can. I had even thought about doing, and I think I may still later this week do one more Warhammer 2 stream. Like a last hurrah, try and get in some replays that people have submitted over the past month or so. But like I'd even thought, you know, on my days off, there's only going to be 1 or 2 more days when I can't show Warhammer 3 content, and then we're almost in the home stretch where I can literally start putting out unlimited content, which is when like we're going to pick up the campaigns that I left off on, the Khorne, the Demon Undivided, the yeah, the Balrog Baggins, Demon Undivided. We're going to do the Scarbrand. I'm going to pick back Miao Ying up as well. We're going to probably start up a Kislev campaign. tomorrow I'm trying to decide. Maybe you guys can help me decide. Would you rather see me do a Kislev solo campaign? I'm thinking probably Cathay, just because quite a few people are doing Boris. I think a couple people are doing Kostaltina as well. I haven't seen that many people actually doing Cathay, so maybe I'll put up a poll also on the channel. But just those of you guys who are here right now, you know, I may not strictly decide to do what you vote for, but just to help inform my decision. Would you rather see Cathay solo, Grand Campaign multiplayer, or... Yeah, I mean, I guess I could start another campaign, but... Yes, the time limit for streaming is, I think, let me double check. That's a good question. I'm pretty sure that's right, that it lifts once the Slanesh embargo drops, then we can just do unlimited content. I think that's right, but let me just double check that real quick. Elevator music. Anyway, yes. So yeah, once it's the 10th of February, so 4 days, that's on Thursday, then we can do Slanesh content and we can do unlimited content. So yes, post 10th, we're going to pick up the content pace quite a bit. I may start doing like a video plus a stream a day, honestly. We'll see. Yeah, I think Invocation to Heck is 0.8. Like, it seems that most heals are 0.8 or 1.6% heals per second. Like, I know Nurgle's heal is 1.6. I think, like, I saw Apotheosis, Earthblood. I know Earthblood is 0.8 heals per second. I think Invocation to Heck and Apotheosis are the same. And then Regrowth, I want to say, is, again, 1.6. So, like, the lower tier heals are 0.8 per second. The upper tier heals are 1.6 per second. I think Realm of Souls, the first tier is like 0.4. The second tier is 0.6, I want to say. I don't remember. I could maybe look through and check for you guys, but I don't know 100% if I'm allowed to show that off. So... yeah, I mean, Nurgle definitely seems like they're going to struggle to a degree, and Nurgle and Cathay both seem like they're going to struggle somewhat, although Nurgle, I think, once they get their Warriors of Chaos, assuming we're going to get Nurgle Warriors at some point, which, I mean, the designs for them are so amazing, it'd be a travesty if we never did. I'm sure, I'm almost positive that we'll get a Warriors of Chaos themed DLC that will rework the Warriors themselves and then introduce a bunch of new mortal units to all the god-specific factions. Once we get those guys, Nurgle will be quite a bit better. Right now, their biggest issue is just a lack of anti-large. And, I mean, it could use some better mobility as well. So, you know, with hopefully Mortals fulfilling that, hopefully they get, like, Knights of Nurgle, and they get Warriors of Nurgle, and they'll get better. Same thing with Cathay, too. Like, once they get possibly DPS infantry, once they get more Lores of Magic, like, they probably are going to get Lore of Life on a hero level caster. That would be quite good. It would help, like, Zhao become more viable, and just in general help them out. Yeah, so I think the rosters will improve, and those two factions will improve alongside their rosters, obviously. But will I do a review video when the embargo drops? I mean, perhaps. In general, I tend to, yeah, probably. I mean, maybe I'll do kind of a summary of my thoughts about the game. I generally am not necessarily a review channel. I mean, I am so biased towards Total War that it's hard for me to give an objective review, I'm going to be honest. Because I've been a fan of the series for such a long time, like, I am very much invested in the series being good, and I have enjoyed all of the previous games. That gives me a high degree of bias, which is why I've never produced any reviews of Total War games, or really games in general, to be honest. I just don't know that I really have a lot to deliver there. I mean, I tend to make my feelings known just throughout the course of regular gameplay. If I don't enjoy something, I just won't show it on my channel. Like, there's a reason why there's almost no Three Kingdoms or Troy content on this channel. It's because I just don't enjoy those two titles as much. Like, yeah, I enjoy them from time to time. I've beaten both their campaigns, you know, once or twice, but it's, I even, you know, got free access to all of their DLCs and still chose not to cover them on the channel, primarily just because it's not, I don't know. If I don't enjoy something, I just won't show it. But this game, you can infer from this what you will. I have been showing quite a bit, so again, take that what you will. I don't know if I'll end up doing a dedicated review video, but here we go. We've got Constantine here and a Frost Maiden on the opener. Frost Maiden looks like he's on horseback. And we've got Crystal Sanctuary and Heart of Winter. So this is what I'm saying when I think, like, you could probably take this caster in reserve and just take more troops initially. Given that you have sort of two expensive spells. We got some Warbear Riders, a couple of light sleds. And we're up against Nurgle here. So we've got a Soul Grinder initially, plus the Herald of Nurgle up in the air. Looks like Plague Toads, a Forsaken, Beast of Nurgle, Furies, and already bringing out some Nurglings. Yeah, you like this this purple Kislev color scheme? The color schemes in this game are generally all very good. Oh yeah, Dread Sleds pulling up, popping some shots on the Soul Grinder there. Soul Grinder is going to return fire with the Plague Mortar, going after the Bear Riders. So far hasn't made contact. I noticed the Plague Mortar sometimes gets screwed up by elevation changes a little bit. Generally is better for shooting at infantry than cavalry, but let's see. Going to go after these Armored Cossars. And the Bear Riders looks like are just going to charge straight up into the Forsaken. I mean, yeah, there's not a lot keeping them from this here, but nice little Miasma of Pestilence. Gives negative melee attack, and Tor's Battle Hymn is going to come in and counteract that somewhat. Keep in mind that everything has fire damage as well. That is going to be reducing the healing of all of these Nurgle troops that are getting hit. One reason why I think you almost mandatory to take Constantine in this matchup is for that AoE fire damage. He himself is taking almost no damage, although the Bear Riders are. Dread Sleds could come up and flank around, perhaps get a little charge in here to help take out those Forsaken, but for now, just letting the Bear Riders kind of hang tight in that combat. One thing, you know, with the low model count monstrous cavalry like these Bear Riders, you probably don't want them fighting isolated, but Crystal Sanctuary on them anyway gives them damage resistance, so they're really not taking much damage at all there. Both those units kind of wet noodling each other. Beast of Nurgle definitely not getting wet noodled. It is getting, you know, slapped with erect spaghetti. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, Happy Puppy just holding firm though. I mean, the Soul Grinder could come in and fight a little bit in combat as well, but Constantine is a pretty big danger, so nice seizing of the center objective here by Samurai Warrior. Got some Nurglings hanging around. These are armored Cossars with great weapons. Chaos Furies could jump in, do some pretty good damage, but it looks like Wing Lancers sweeping over. Samurai Warrior already up over 1,000 on damage value there, which is pretty good. Nice to see some Kislev action. Winged Lancer's going to come in and occupy the Soul Grinder. Soul Grinder, obviously, armor-piercing damage, pretty good melee combatant. Only 35 defense, though, means it's somewhat vulnerable, especially if those Lancers have their charge bonus active. Bear's coming in for a little rear charge here to make sure that the Grinder cannot escape. And, oh, man, my frame rate's getting absolutely murdered by some effects there, special effects. Yes, Thursday, Slanesh. I know, right? It does kind of look like a tank. It almost looks like a turret's been, like, lifted off of the body of the tank. I totally agree, 100%. The comment about the Dread Sled banner looking like a tank. What's up? Robane, good to see you. Yeah, Knights of Nurgle, I'm thinking, like, poison attacks, like the Knights with shields. You know, Cloud of Flies possibly passive as well, just to give them additional melee defense. Probably would be pretty strong. Definitely help give you some heavy armor mobility. That's the other problem with Nurgle is, like, you have sort of a lack of armor piercing. You've got some armor piercing like monsters, you know, Beast of Nurgle, Great and Clean One, obviously, the Soul Grinder. You've got, you know, your Plague Grounds that have armor piercing. Like, I don't know, weirdly, like, armored infantry, armored defensive high-tier infantry, like the Zargard, for example, just in general, very good against Nurgle. And so having armored units and having armor-piercing anti-large will help. And the Warriors of Chaos, you know, of Nurgle with halberds would fulfill those. And then Knights of Nurgle help the mobility aspect as well. So we'll see. We shall see. I'm not sure, Lazy Boy. It just kind of depends on how much people are willing to hang around. I've got quite a bit of stream time available. But, like, I know Samurai Warriors got to go after this. Happy Puppy's also Europe time. I know it is quite late over there, so I don't know how much longer she's going to be able to hang around. So, basically, we're going to keep getting live games until that's done. Until there's no one else for me to get live games with. I don't know. Turin, I guess, is streaming AoE. He probably doesn't want to stop that and switch, because my guess is the reason he's streaming AoE is because he doesn't have any stream time left for this game. But Blight Boil going down here. Animation does take quite some time to play out, so it can be dodged, but it still does a tiny bit of damage there to those armored Kossars. The Nurgling's content to just kind of sit back and hold objective number 3 right now. And if if Happy Puppy here is able to amass enough numbers to kind of counter push back up in here, got some Forsaken coming in, got some Nurglings. In a situation like this, it's almost good to just, like, hang back and continue to amass when you have a supply income advantage from being behind. Especially when you've taken, 5,000 extra army damage value. That is kind of, again, par for the course for sad Nurgle. Nurgle versus Storm Vermin. Is the Tzeentch Soul Grinder good at hitting the bear sleds with the ranged attack? I mean, it's alright. It's pretty decent. I would say probably your best tool against the Dread Sleds with Tzeentch is going to be just Chaos Knights, I would think. Even still, though, the Dread Sleds, like, trade okay and just straight up melee against the Chaos Knights, so it's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's not looking great for Happy Puppy initially, but we'll see. Another Blight Boil there. Should actually get, a nice chunk out of those Streltsy. Although maybe should have just saved it and used it kind of danger close on top of these infantry. But almost had enough capture power briefly there to start capturing, but then these Forsaken just shatter under the charge of the Dervishes and the Lancers. Oh, for sure. Oh, Lazy Boy, you actually, you're, I didn't realize you're actually, yeah, you're in the group. Okay, all right. You're a verified content creator, so that means you also have this. Okay. I guess Linksy's also hanging around. Da, da, da. Yeah, we have a few people hanging around who could possibly come battle it out, but I think I kind of want to jump in for a battle or two after half the puppy's done here. I probably have like another hour left to stream. We'll see. But I have quite a few replays I want to show too, so I may end up recording a bunch of videos here. I need to start recording my Slaanesh gameplay for that one. But anyway. Excuse me. Let's see here. Yeah, the sleds. Man, the sleds had almost no recourse here. I think, honestly, against Kislev, the build I've been using is Nurgle on the Herald of Nurgle on foot with double Beast of Nurgle in reserve. I forget, actually. I'd have to pull it up and look, but... yeah, man, Kislev and Tzeentch. Let's see, I think Samurai Warrior's got to run, but let me see here. Bear with me just 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Okay, Happy Puppy will be along shortly, and there she is, so we can get started here. Let me see, what do I want to play? Okay, looks like we're gonna do Kislev versus Tzeentch. So I had a build that I wanted to try here. I don't know how good it's gonna end up being. We kind of have a little bit of a lack of dread sleds, but my thinking here is there's not a lot we can do to contest flying, but at the very least I'll have this horse archer to kind of run around and be mobile, try and give us some flexibility. We've got a few armored infantry here, ability to shoot back some Kossars. We're opening with the Patriarch, perhaps a little bit risky, but I've got Katarine in reserve. I'll just have to not forget to bring her in. A couple of Ice Guards too. Again, I'm not 100% convinced on these picks here with these elite infantry, but we'll see. May end up wishing I would have just gone wider with more missile options. Man. Yeah, the idea here with the Snow Leopard is the Snow Leopard can sit in with some dervishes and apply some frostbite, maybe go after like Doom Knights, help kind of counter it in general. I mean, the armor of Tzeentch is going to be a problem. We don't have a lot of armor piercing in this build, but no, now that I kind of sit and look at it a little bit more, I think maybe... Maybe I'll actually cut the dual hand weapon ice guard so we can just come in here and get a couple of Kossar spears. And... I'm just trying to think units that would be threatening. Like Doom Knights, I think we could have some issues with, but let's see how this goes. Flamers we should be able to deal with relatively well. Yeah, we still technically can take more missile units too, so maybe we swap the Dervish out for one more Kossar spear, and that should do. Could also do this. Well, no, I don't have enough range slots. If I did this, I could come in here, cut one cav, take one more dread sled, and then we can take the light cav back. I think I actually go with that. Okay, and let's go for Sea of Claws, maybe. Yes, that's correct, Precipitous Nyx. You can. I could take my my hero out of this starting force, and it would be totally legal as well. That's correct. Yeah, the other cav is risky because of how well the Screamers perform against them. It's true. It's true. You know, on that point, maybe actually I cut these guys and just take another Snow Leopard, and then... I'm thinking the leopard, like the frostbite, would be really nice. I could actually go triple leopard. Let's do that. Let's go triple leopard. I may end up wishing I had a little bit more of this light cavalry, but wish I had these guys twice. Yeah, absolutely. It makes character sniping a lot less strong, which is another benefit of Domination. I think some people were complaining about being able to resummon Lords of Heroes, and I think it's a good thing, honestly, because Lord sniping I viewed, and just in general egregious character sniping, I viewed as sort of one of the main issues of Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer. I think a lot of people would agree that it's just kind of unfun and boring oftentimes to just see endless character sniping, and in general how strong character sniping was. So, I mean, it's still strong in this game mode. The fact that you have to pay to bring the heroes in again means it's not necessarily a free lunch, right? But, yeah, let's see. Part of me wants to come and try and set up, like, on objective number 1 initially. So let's do this. You guys on 2. Because if we come set up and take this area, then we can come in and we can bring in just mobile reinforcements here. So let's get, let's do this. Okay, get Elite Cav on 5. We'll have him kind of leading them. Kossars will initially stand right here and just kind of get some range down in there, and then skirmish cavalry we can just kind of have run around and be annoying. There we go. Okay. Okay, let's run and set up over there. Let's Set you guys up kind of right here. Yeah, we have quite a bit of Doom Knights. Blue Horrors, Pink Horrors, kind of to be expected. Up and start harassing a little bit with the Horse Archers. Maybe bait out some magic here. These guys are relatively expensive. They are 600. They've got decent melee stats, but we want to obviously not take too much free damage there if we can avoid it. But we definitely can shoot the Herald if we need to. And in general, I think I kind of want to just mirror the Herald's movements. Oh yeah, can we get him stagger locked? If we can get him stagger locked, that would be pretty ideal. No, what are you guys doing? Why are you running down the hill? You don't need to do that. You have visibility. Okay, that'll be fine. We're building up some good supplies. We can maybe bring in like a little flank attack of some bread sleds. Okay, doing some nice archer damage there. We've got our heavy infantry going to secure that objective. Let's drop a little charge right here with the dread sleds. And we've almost got enough to bring in some more. Let's get Snow Leopard to defend the dread sleds. It looks like she's sending the knights over, so we can kind of screen back a little bit there. Let's get these guys also coming over here. And oh man, that hurts. Let's pull back from the Doom Knights initially. Once we get the Frostbite Leopard in, we can go ahead and actually countercharge here. Let's go ahead and stand. Fire. Okay, we can actually send this whole force down there. Cool, we're setting up there on that objective. Let's go crump those Forsaken. And let's see if we can keep the barrier off of those Doom Knights. That would be awesome if we could. Or even keep the barrier off of the Herald. We've got some stuff coming, so let's actually get a Zargard and throw him down there. Just so that we get some heavy support. Got Screamers coming in. Try and screen for the Screamers. Let's get the Archers also in range here, so we can actually be contributing.
We have a victory point.
Okay.
Keep it from the foe.
Let's get over here. Oh man, this guy's taking some damage. Definitely taking some damage. Go ahead and drop all the buffs here. Ooh, we ended up taking a bunch of damage on my sleds too. That's not great. Let's get some more sleds developed and come start to support here. Almost got the Zargard down onto this objective, which is nice. Took a little rear charge right there, which is not ideal. Yeah, the Snow Leopard's not really doing as much as what I would have hoped, but we did pretty convincingly cap this objective. We can start coming down this way now. You guys are also still not firing, not in range to be firing, so let's move up a little bit more. Okay, how are we doing over here? Not great, to be honest. Let's pull back. Okay, keep shooting. Dread. Those guys, whatever they are, let's go ahead and rear charge. Those guys, looks like we lost the Patriarch. That's fine. He's not that expensive. We're starting to build up quite a bit of Winds of Magic too, so we'll probably bring out Katarine relatively soon. Okay, the Zargard are still coming down. Crap, got caught up there. That's not great. Probably just send those guys to fight the Screamers in melee. You guys can also charge in here. Might have been a mistake to actually bring the Zargard in there, but okay. What the heck? Why not? keep shooting the Doom Knights. Make sure they can't get their barrier back. Go ahead and charge those blue horrors. Get ahead and get Zargard in there. Okay, yeah, keep shooting. Gonna move up here like so. Okay. Dread sleds are doing some work, which is what we need. Actually get you guys onto the point now. Looking good there. Okay. Let's get the Kossars onto the objective. And also get these guys onto the objective. Okay, looking good, looking good. I need to bring Katarine out, and I definitely have the magic to do so, so let's go ahead and get that. And how's it going down here? Not great. Dread sleds are once again struggling, but we did get the Zargard into position. So they are on the objective. They should be able to hold for some time there. Let's go ahead and save for some more Dread sleds. Okay, Katarine can come in, and let's get some AoE magic damage going. Okay, we want to keep from getting on the objective now that we have the objective secured. So let's Crystal Sanctuary those Zargard who are about to take a bunch of shooting. And these Zargard are managing to hold up quite well. It's distracting a pretty good portion of his army, which is exactly what we want. Let's go ahead and get that. I wish I would have brought Heart of Winter, but I did not, so that's fine. Go ahead and keep attacking. Okay, let's bring out the Horse Archers again to come pressure here. And we'll just keep Katarine moving. I'm not trading great on army damage, which is not ideal, but even still, we're doing okay. Let's get some dervishes out. I need to get some other units out that can actually help deal. Let's get Snow Leopard. Oof, that's not going to be a good rear charge right there. Go ahead and get that. Little ice attack there. Thankfully, we're unbreakable for the time being, but definitely taking some serious damage. So let's get that guy up and around. Yeah, those Zargard are continuing to hold that objective, which is exactly what we want. Or not hold the objective, rather, but just hold up all those units. Let's get some more Kossar Spears out here. Oof, man, that thing is taking some heat. Go ahead and give those dervishes some damage resistance. Oof, man, that was nasty. Did a whole bunch of damage. Dudes right there. Let's move in. Let's give a little leadership. Biggest thing for us is just to try and hold the objectives at this point. So let's, to that effect, let's move up. And big old infantry blob over here is just asking for some dread sleds, so bring them over here. Oh, Katarine. Made a mistake dropping down with the Herald, so let's go punish that. Get another little ice attack here. Oh no, I didn't realize she got surrounded by Doom Knights. That's not great. There we go. And it doesn't look like, come on, let's get the Snow Leopard out. It's just being blocked by some horrors right now. Come on, there it is. Same thing with Katarine. If we could get her out, that would be pretty ideal. But let's get these guys moving through. We've got Screamers coming in now. Let's get some light cavalry to countercharge them. You guys, now that you're on the point, just start shooting them. Sled's kind of getting surrounded there. Not great. Let's get them past. Okay, you failed to actually catch the Herald, which is fine. Let's also disengage with Katarine. Come over here and attack these knights. Okay. Yep, almost got rid of the Screamers, which is great. Give a little damage resistance to Katarine, and then drop some more AoE damage here. Okay, great, great, great. You guys can shoot the Herald. Okay, let's get another sled. See if we can get some pistols to start shooting there. Then get the fence buff. You guys, let's get back into those knights there. Just keep shooting. Can we actually get the ice shard there too, perhaps? No, it doesn't look like. Yeah, it doesn't look like so. Oh no, I think we can. Nice. Got some more units coming up from over there. Okay, all the dread sleds. Make sure we're in melee mode. Okay, we'll just have the archer shoot the knights for now, even if it's not necessarily super efficient. Also drop some more magic here. Just gonna disrupt this big blob right here. Man, those sleds are having a hard time charging uphill. It's fine. Try and clear out these Forsaken right here. Man, all those Doom Knights, they have such good leadership. They will not go away, but I think we've got it. Yeah. Game's just about over anyway. GG. That was a good one. I was worried about how we would fare against the Doom Knights, and, you know, actually getting that Zargard down here to just kind of hold up a big portion of the army, even though they probably just got absolutely creamed on value, I think that probably ended up being pretty worth it.
I knew it.
Cool.
Unending glory is yours.
GG. You just don't want to kill Torox, Marathi, or Sigvald 2 times. I understand. I mean, Sigvald you can pretty much just ignore like you normally do, and I just put him in Footlord jail, you know, like with a unit of monstrous infantry or something, away from the objective, and you'll probably be fine. Marathi's expensive enough that if you kill her, it's going to be tricky for your opponent to resummon her. Like, yeah. And here's the thing is, certain characters, like especially tanky foot characters, yes, they'll be very annoying, but if they're just determined to hold down a single point with that foot character, you can just go to the other 2 points and, you know, ignore that foot character. And anyway, I don't think it'll be that bad necessarily, but I definitely understand. Yeah. Let's see. That's a good question. 2,700, man. Yeah, as a shooting character up on his disc, I can see why he's, in my opinion, if you don't need to fight something with a exalted Lord of Change, then I think probably yeah, if you don't need to fight something on the tier of the Exalted Lord of Change, I think probably the Herald is going to be quite strong with that shooting. So yeah, let's do one more. I'm gonna do. Okay, so I'm going to do. I think I'll play Nurgle. No, I'll get one Cathay game in. Yeah, let's get some Cathay practice in. We'll let Happy Puppy play whoever she wants. Yeah, I should have probably checked through more of the values there before skipping past it, but yeah, the Herald is quite strong, and Sleds are quite strong. What else is good? I think the Zargard are actually pretty decent. Like there, they were able to help hold a couple of objectives pretty well. Yeah. Armored Kossars also probably did pretty decently. Even just the regular Kossars cost-effectively shooting. I actually really like the Horse Archers there. They did much better than what I was anticipating. So I think probably that's a good matchup. Because honestly, like the Screamers, yes, they do trade very well into any Knights or, you know, Lancers, like the Winged Lancers or the Griffin Legion, but it's not that cost effective to trade with the light cavalry, especially if there's numbers of light cavalry countercharging you, because Screamers are very squishy. Like, yes, they have potent damage output, but they're definitely glass cannons. If you can, like, get the Kossovite dervishes to charge them on the ground, that could be quite strong. But okay, so Cathay versus Kislev. I do have a build here, and it's a Crazy Uncle Zhao build, but we're actually going to fine-tune it ever so slightly. Let's come in here, cut the chevrons, and I want to take this just with no spells or abilities. And okay, so we actually have 400 now. We could take just a Peasant Horseman, maybe. Not that that'll do us a whole lot of good. Or we could upgrade one of these long spears for another halberd. I think that's actually probably better. And then, yeah, spend the other 55 on chevrons. Let's see. Nice. Perfect. Excellent. Switch up the map here. We'll do Broken Leg, Gully. You know what? Actually, I played that matchup several times on that map specifically. So we'll go. Let's do Mountains of Morn. It's an interesting one. What's up, Goji? Good to see you. I saw you kicking around in chat a little earlier. Okay, up here. So the reason you take, those of you guys who haven't seen, the reason you take multiple casters is for this right here. Mastery of the Elemental Winds increases spell power. So the idea with this build is, yes, we don't have healing, but Zhao has this, when he's in dragon form, at least, he has a passive that gives him damage resistance when he's low HP. Plus, I mean, he gets this as well, which, again, a little bit of AoE damage resistance, always nice. Spell resistance. Do I actually need all of this? Metal shifting and Strength of Yang. I don't know if I need Strength of Yang, to be honest. Dragon's Breath, and anyway, the idea is Final Transmutation on Kislev Cavalry here. I mean, it does give quite a bit of weapon strength kind of locally to whatever's around him. So maybe we will actually keep that. Just have him stay with the halberds for the time being. Thank y'all so much for coming out, by the way. Been quite a stream. We've had some great battles today. It's nice back and forth. Let's see what Happy Puppy brings to the table. I know I'm a huge fan of the Dread Sleds for Kislev in this matchup, but we'll see. Kislev cavalry definitely very dangerous, but I think for Cathay, you just want to spam anti-large infantry. All right. Looking good, looking good. And I've probably got maybe another half hour left to stream. We'll see. Have some other stuff I've got to get to later on tonight, but definitely wanted to get some multiplayer action live for you guys. I had planned to show off a bunch of replays and just kind of answer questions, but I figured why not get live games? I can record those replays, upload them another time. you guys just want to see some live action here. Sort of the developed, you know, up-to-date builds, if you will. So, let's see. How do we want to do this?
Spears! Stone and steel!
Okay, let's do this initially.
Jade crossbows.
Never conquered! Lord of Shanyang! Jade crossbows!
Okay.
Peasant spearmen!
Ready as always. Jade warriors.
You know what? Let's actually put one crossbow with each group.
Yes!
And
Minds
like
and
this.
one.
Wind and fire! Warrior crossbows! Long spears! Divide and rule!
Okay. And we'll go ahead and ready up. Happy Puppy's got less units than me, so
Alchemist!
let's see what we can do here.
Supreme! With joy!
Start moving up. This is also a matchup and map where we could potentially use the cannon here to pretty good effect, so that might be my first bring, honestly. Start shelling some of this infantry straight across here.
In Father's name!
Oh yeah.
Kislev bickers with itself.
I love this black color scheme personally. The black and green of these Jade Crossbowmen looks quite good. What do we got here? Ice Witch. Looks like what spells here? We got Hailstorm, Gust of True Flight. Okay. Interesting.
Shaper of iron!
Looks like we got some Kossars here, a couple of Ice Guards. Ooh, okay, okay, interesting. Let's kind of hang back from the Ice Guards. Probably lead with the crossbows, honestly.
Warpstone and steel. Defenders of Cathay. Jade crossbows. Immediately, it pleases the dragons.
Okay. A little far forward there. Let's go ahead and start firing. Set up the halberds. And you need to go over there, get ready to cast some of that. Let's bring the cannon in and start shelling here. Bring in a spear to protect also for harmony.
March in ordered ranks!
Okay, we were able to kind of push back there. Let's come set up on the objective here.
Harmony.
Shenyang sends us! Move as wind! The Iron
Xiao
Dragon!
can come kind of chill in between here. Okay, Jade Warrior's definitely getting shredded by Ice Guards, but we're also getting some good crossbow fire on the Lord there.
The Iron Wind! Thoughts in harmony!
Warriors, march in ordered ranks.
Shenyang sends us!
Okay, let's go ahead and do the final transmutation cheese as soon as we have enough Winds of Magic, which we now do.
The Iron Wind!
Looks like they're mostly going to escape, unfortunately. That was a lot of Winds of Magic to use right there, but that's okay.
Order and balance! Spear!
Okay, come back here. Let's develop some halberds over on this side and go take this objective.
Warriors, guided by
It's going to be definitely sort of a slow style of play here,
Marching as one!
but we definitely can win. Now it's time to start pushing up. Get some damage there. That final transmutation didn't end up doing a crazy amount of damage, but
Jade Warriors!
Move in formation. Never conquered.
transform into dragon form and then just go start messing with these ice guards here.
Crossbowmen.
Okay, let's move up. Let's move up.
Sorceress outcast.
Zhao can come back here and go after the ice guards.
Long spear.
Okay, they're bringing in heavies, so let's also... Whoops, did not mean to bring them over on that side one. That's fine.
Praise the dragon.
Well, Peasant Spears, guess what? You get promoted to fight Griffin Legion. Congratulations. I know it's not what you wanted.
We have a victory point.
Okay, let's get the Peasant Spears moving up. Peasant Spears move up. Get a little breath attack there. Nice, did some really good damage.
Crossbowman. Seeking Cathay's
Move up and
bow.
kind of block right here. Block these two
Set my
entrances with
dragon.
the halberds. Get the crossbows into a position of fire. Okay, let's check back on the cannon. Cannon did get shut down, but we can bring in some halberds here.
We obey.
Celestial halberds come up and kind of protect the back right here.
Jade warriors. For Cathay.
These halberds can move in and start attacking those winged lancers. Okay, doing good there. Zhao's definitely taking some fire, which is not great. Let's try and... Oh no. Oh no, did I crash the game by casting inside of Warhawk? Nope. Okay, we're good.
Minds as one.
Let's try and get Zhao out if we can.
Sorcerer of
We've done enough here. Oof, yeah, that gunfire and the ice fire hurts for sure. Okay, if we can chase him off the objective, that's fine. Let's just kind of go back to back and try and secure. Looks like we're able to kind of chase back there. Ended up overextending a little bit, but that's fine. Zhao, you can come back. Let's see if we can remount the cannons. It's tricky. You have to like get a very specific place to be able to remount these. Probably would just unsummon them, honestly.
It is fated. Move as we.
And move those guys up. Okay, let's get some cavalry of my own just to be able to control mass a little bit here.
Naturally.
Harmonious frost. Wind and fire.
Retreat. Withdraw.
Thoughts in harmony.
Okay, crossbowmen are just firing into whatever there, which is great. Their riders are threatening. Let's collapse with the spears and halberds.
Bring in harmony.
Jade lancers.
Come rear charge those Jade Lancers. You guys can just auto support them.
Send my dragon.
Get some more crossbows moving up as
Jade
well.
crossbow. Repositioning.
Zhao's just kind of chilling right now, which is not necessarily ideal, but let's get another cast ready. We can fly up over this impassable terrain here.
Warriors.
Shenyan's faithful.
Do some damage to those armored Kossars. Let's move in with the
Never conquer.
Celestial Dragon Guard. Spearmen also keep moving up. Okay, we've got some cavalry flanking up and around there. Worries me a little bit, but
Raise the dragons. Guided by ancestors.
let's get the cannon back in here. Start shelling again.
Naturally.
Okay, we got this secure. We can come up and seal these points.
Ordered ranks.
Shenyang's faithful.
Keep advancing with the infantry here. Okay, let's come back down and maybe... Yeah, I don't know. Probably just keep throwing these out.
Stone and steel. Crossbowmen. Attack in unison.
Okay, get these crossbows over here just to give a little harmony there. Same thing
Warrior
here.
crossbow.
Oh, there's the Griffin Legion.
The Emperor expects.
You know what? Just take the engagement.
Root them out.
Not that we have a lot of choice at this point, but
Attack in unison.
I was going to go ahead and retransform into human form.
Crossbowmen.
Okay, we're not quite in harmony range there.
The dragons ask.
Let's go ahead and shoot the cannon at the bear riders.
Formation.
They will perish.
Guided by
Okay.
For the Emperor.
my elixirs are ready. Much in order to
Good there. You guys are looking good there. Let's have you move up also here. Got some Zargard fighting. That's fine. Come surround them a little bit.
Peasant spearmen.
Peasants are overextending ever so slightly. Let's just seal this choke right here.
Yes.
Get a little rear attack. These guys also get some more winds of magic on them. Nice.
For the Moon Dragon.
Nice. Good hit with the bear riders. Can have you guys start firing in.
Moon Dragon. Seeking Cathay's foes.
whatever is required.
It is fated.
Sent by
Got these
dragons.
Griffin Legions sweeping up and around again. Yeah, this traditional cannon's definitely doing very well for me so far.
Alchemist Supreme.
Okay, let's get another breath attack to finish off this little block right here.
In Father's name. For the Emperor.
Oh man, those that passive is just so strong.
With joy. Down the retreat. Sent by dragons.
Okay, let's get some Longmas to come finish this off here.
Cavalry.
Okay, get some more cavalry in. And doing pretty good.
Metal and fire.
Uncle Zhao is holding in the center.
Never conquered. Shaper
Got some more
of
there. Got some more there. We can start focusing those Streltsy.
iron. Atomize them.
Did you just say atomize them? I don't know if that's... How do you know what that is? I have some questions. Anyway. Okay, looking good, looking good. Have you guys up there. You guys can come here. Longmas are pushing through. You guys also get up on point.
Warrior crossbows.
You guys up once again.
Retreat! Withdraw!
Elemental wrath.
Okay, we'll come interrupt those Streltsy from firing. Drop a charge on the Ice Guards here.
They charge!
I think against Cathay, you'd probably want to take the Glaive Ice Guard.
Glory is yours.
This is the dual hand weapon one, it looks like. But anyway, interesting one. Yeah, the cannon type artillery is a great counter against Kislev for sure. For sure. Like Empire, you know, Dowie, Vampire Coast, all of them, the cannons are going to be a good choice against Kislev for sure. Zhao also, man, he performed quite well. That breath attack of his is pretty solid, and the fact that he's a potent melee combatant, like, yes, maybe it's still better to have the healing of Meow, but I feel like Zhao's DPS output was good enough there to justify bringing him. And then, yeah, I mean, the halberds spear spam did seem pretty effective. The crossbows, if they can sit and shoot, will definitely pay for themselves. Cannon I had to resummon twice, so it wasn't exactly cost effective, but yeah, I mean, the halberds and the spears just kind of push forward and hold ground fairly well. So, yeah, happy puppy side. Ice Guards didn't end up paying for themselves. I think the magic damage ends up being a little bit wasted in this matchup for the Ice Guards. I think probably, yeah, Streltsy and Dread Sleds are the way to go. She didn't actually have any sleds here, which I think is definitely a mistake. I do like going cavalry heavy, but yeah, playing into the infantry matchup, I feel, is sort of playing into the strengths of Cathay a little bit here. I don't know, maybe actually Zargard with great weapons, now that I stop and think about it, that anti-infantry AP could possibly be quite strong here if you could keep them protected from being shooted too much. Anyway, I think that's almost cue for me to end for the night. Hey, it's all good, Happy Puppy. You're doing quite well, considering you haven't had a lot of experience. I would say I've played quite a few more games So, GG's. Thanks for joining. Again, those of you guys who feel so inclined, please do go check out Happy Puppy's channel on Twitch. There's a link right there. Go ahead and give her a follow. She'll be starting up shortly, streaming this, I'm sure. So, yes, it is for Domination's use of, yes, that is a new thing. So, I think I'll probably, yeah, unless they come in with numbers of Celestial Guard. The basic Tsar Guard definitely could be very solid. And I guess we could finish up here. I do think I need to go relatively soon. And I don't know. There's probably some other people hanging around here. But let me see. Yeah, I think I'll probably call it for the evening. But we'll kind of just... discuss a little bit in general on Kislev. So the Tsar Guard as defensive infantry, I think they are quite good. You do trade off a substantial amount of melee defense for not that much. I mean, you get 2 attack, 4 charge with only 10 bonus versus infantry, which is not a lot. Granted, 25 AP is pretty significant compared to only 10 AP for the base version. But I don't know if that's worth a 100-point upgrade. That the difference in melee defense in particular, 36-32 for attack and defense. I mean, I guess these guys are only 200 points more expensive than greatswords, and their stats are pretty similar. Again, are they worth 200 more than greatswords, though? It's hard to say. But I do think that they could possibly be pretty good against Cathay. Anti-infantry AP would help you just win infantry fights straight up without having to rely overly on mobile units, but just the dread sleds, I mean, here's your anti-infantry AP, to be honest. This is all the anti-infantry AP that you need most of the time, which is why I would think just defensive infantry to hold the line and then hammer and anvil with your cavalry and sleds. But, yeah, it's an interesting one. GG's to Happy Puppy. Big thanks to Samurai Warrior for also joining today. Thank y'all so much for coming out. Those of you guys here live, those of you guys watching after the fact, all my patrons, my channel members, everyone, you guys are the best. Yeah, I'm planning to do some more, like, overview type content once I get a little bit more experience playing all these different factions. I'll probably do a quick... just a very quick overview, kind of the picking a faction like I did for Warhammer 2. Probably in the first week or so after release, we'll see. But anyway, have a blast. I'm going to be back tomorrow with some campaign. So far, it looks like Grand Campaign multiplayer is winning. So I'll see if I can wrangle some players for that for tomorrow. Thank you all so much again. We'll see you next time.